There you go.
I did it, yeah. Jack, you're logged in also, no?
I am, yeah, but you're quicker on it.
Yes, sir.
You wanted to ask a Kohen to do it.
Very good. Okay, so right up to the Mishnah. What's the problem?
Was I bad?
You excellent. Okay, so Zok the Mishnah. Yeah, so the Mishnah says Achsoicher is a para. That's what we're up to, right? Payment Aleph. Yeah?
Yes.
Achsoicher is a para. Somebody rents a para. Lachrish Bahar. Right? Again, we're talking about all the sugyas of how is it called? Misappropriating, whatever, not keeping the terms of the rental deal. Right? So Achsoicher is a para, Lachrish Bahar. He rented the para, and the plan was that he's going to use it to plow on a mountain. He decided, and he did it in a valley. Im nishbara kankan potten. If the kankan broke, so then it's potten. Bibika. Bibika becharish bahar. I'm sorry. So if the kankan is literally a kankan means a kankanim. What do you call it? The barrel, a jug. All right, but here it means the plow. The part of the plow that it pulls. The bika. So that's the first case. So then he is potter. Why? Because a mountain is much rougher than a valley. Right? So if a mountain is much rougher on a valley, and the rental deal had it that he could bring it in the mountain, so for sure in the valley. But if he meant to do, it meant to do it in the, if it was a bika and he did it in the mountain, which is much rougher, so then if the kankan is broken, then he's chayiv. Ladush bekitnius, if he rented the animal to be dash kitnius, I mean he had to dash is to separate the junk from the good. So bekitnius v'dash betfua, and he did tfua, so he's potter. Because kitnius is a lot smoother. Beans are a lot smoother. So therefore, he was doing it. I'm sorry. Kitnius is not. It's too smooth, right? And meaning it's wet. It gets wet, slippery. So mamela, it's there's risk for the animal. Mashenkin tfua is dry, so therefore there's less risk for the animal. So he's potter. Ladush betua v'dash bekitnius. If he does it with tfua, if he's rented it for tfua and he did it with kidney, he's chayiv. Kidney is mechalekes because kidney is smoother. So mamela, it's a higher risk. So bottom line is if you do something with less risk, even though it's not it's not keeping the terms of the deal, you're still potter. Right? It's only if you went the opposite. So what I asked, let's say he didn't change it. He didn't do anything different. And then something went wrong. So then who pays? Now, there's an ikr missing here if you just learn the Mishnah without the Rashi. So Rashi says when this guy's renting the animal, he's not, and it's his mucha from the Gemara. When he's renting the animal, he's not just renting the animal. He's also getting a driver that leads the animal, and he's getting a guy that stands on the plow. He's getting two workers along with it. So let's say he didn't keep it. Right? Let's say he didn't keep it. So then, which one of the workers is liable for it getting messed up? So I'm going to pop it and knock it. Parsha Mashalim, the one who holds on to the parsha. The parsha is the thing that leads the animal because he must have misled the animal. That's why the animal fell. The one that is in the back, that's on the plow, is the one that pays because he must have messed up with the plow. The ilchus of the nakat mana mishalim and the halacha is that the the worker that was in the back is the one that has to pay. But if it's in a place that has a lot of rocks and what do you call it? Rough terrain, that's what we say, like where you need an SUV, I guess. Then Tarvayim Misham, and then both of them have to pay. Because they had to be they should have been very careful. And Memela, they weren't, so therefore they're going to be, both of them are going to be chai. Right?
We're not talking about mute people, are we? Why are they always both chayiv? They can talk to each other. The one who's supposed to say, go in the wrong direction.
You mean, why haven't they communicated with each other?
Yeah.
Right here. I hear. See, Rashi says it's a davar amutul besafik. Right, so mamna amutul besafik is chalkin. That's the way Rashi seems to say. Taisus doesn't like that pshat. Right, Taisus has a different pshat. Taisus says they're both paishim, but that doesn't really answer your question. You're asking why it has to be one or the other.
In the other cases that only one is chayiv, that should be the same thing. They're both paishim.
Right.
Unless that's pshat, that one is more pasher than the other, and he should have communicated, so therefore he's the one who's chayiv.
Right. I hear. I don't know. Okay, so right. There's some Rabbi Yochanan. This is what do you call it? How to do sales 101. You can learn from this Gemara. A guy who sells a parah to his friend, it's a gorer, nashchanesi, it's a biter, batanesi, it kicks, raftanesi, it sits down on things, meaning why would anybody ever buy this cow? And it has a mum, right? Meaning,
couldn't we quote this Mishnah above a comment?
Could very well be. Did we?
He could buy it l'radia if we don't know what he's buying it for.
Yeah, but I don't think we quoted this direct. But I don't know. Anyway, so it had a mum echad. The sanfu bein mumin, and he put it together with the other mumin. So basically, he said it's this, it's that, it's that, it's this, right? So and then really, so basically, he hid it amongst its other mumin. Meaning, it didn't gore, and it didn't bite, but it did have a mum. But since he said a bunch of things, so he fooled the guy, because the guy said, oh, this guy just must be a liar, because it doesn't have any of the things, but really it had one of them. Even though the guy made him aware of it. He made the salesman made him aware of it, but he hid it amongst other mumin that really didn't exist. So that's considered mekach tois, or as a mekach tois. Mum zeh umum acher. But if he just says it has two, it has a mum zeh and another mum, and then ein zeh mekach tois, then it's not a mekach tois, because he didn't lie about a bunch. He just said two mumins, so the guy should have looked into it, right? So meaning if he says a bunch, then it's not. Then it's a mekach tois. If he only says one and it has one, it doesn't have the other. Not a mekach tois. A guy sells a shifcha to his friend, and he tells him shifcha zu shaitahi. This shifcha is a shaita. Nichvisi. She has epilepsy. Meshuga. She's meshuga. Excuse me. And there's one mum. Sorry. Yeah, and there was one mum. So if it's sinful ben a moment, and he does it as a sniff, he mixes it all together with the other mum. It's a mekach tois. It's a mekach tois. Mum zeh or mum acher. If it has one mum and another mum, ain't a mekach tois. It's not a mekach tois. So therefore, it's the exact same case, except it's not talking about an animal, it's talking about a shivcha. Let's say Taka, she had all the mumen. The guy wasn't lying. He gave a whole list of mumen. So what's the din? It's not a mekach tais. Meaning, what do you want him to do? He said every last thing that was wrong. Right? So therefore, it's not a mekach tais. The person shouldn't have gotten involved in it. Right? Yeah.
It sounds like a manual for shotgunim.
Funny you say that, because my kids once heard somebody talking about a shidduch, and the lady was like extolling the virtues of a girl, and she said she has a good job, she's put together, she's ugly, she's smart, she's this. It was like slipped in the ugly part. Like I hope that they get away with it. Yeah. But you got to watch out. You got to listen well. I wasn't going to bring it up, Rachel, but once you brought it up, so fine. Zog the Mishnah. This is a very interesting Mishnah. Here we get into a pound of, what did we say on Friday, Rabar? A pound of, what's the phrase?
100-pound woman, 100-pound man, I think we were talking about.
But no.
A pound of gold weighs more than a pound of feathers.
Right.
I think that's the same.
Something like that. A pound of gold, a pound of, meaning you're going to need a whole lot more feathers. It's going to take up a lot more room, a pound of feathers, than a pound of gold. Right? So the Mishnah says, a guy rents a chamor, and the deal was he's gonna put wheat on it. And he did barley. Now barley weighs less than wheat. I don't know. All the scientists that have been on for the last couple of days, maybe they prove this or not prove this. I don't know. I'll trust the Gemara, but okay. So wheat weighs less than barley weighs less than wheat. So it shouldn't be a problem, right? Based on the previous Mishnah, if you put something lighter on the animal, so what should be the problem? You rented it for wheat, which is heavier, and you put on barley, so you shouldn't have a problem. But the Mishnah says, chayiv, you're chayiv. We'll have to see in the Gemara why. Tvua vehevi aleh teven, and if it's grain, and he puts straw, which is obviously lighter, that's also chayiv. Why? Because nefech means the size. The nefech literally means volume, I guess. Is that the word?
The airspace, isn't it?
The opposite of volume.
The airspace.
I'm saying, isn't that volume?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So the volume is harder, but like a load. Meaning it takes up so much more room, even though it's the same weight, since it's spread out, it's much more spread out. So therefore, it's harder on the animal. Lahavi lesech chitin, but so that's case number one. Case number two, if a lesech is a measurement, if he rents the animal to bring a lesech of wheat, behavi lesech sa'irin, then he's potter. Now, what does that mean? So Rashi says here, what this means is that he didn't add on. So basically, and we're going to see this in the Gemara, there's two ways to learn it, Abai and Rava. But Rashi here explains it according to the whole Mishnah according to Abai. But it's very hard to understand this Mishnah without looking. I mean, it's always hard to understand Mishnah without looking at the Gemaras, but this one in particular, because the first one doesn't say that he added on more barley than he was supposed to. But that's what comes out. In the first case, it's not that it was a pound of wheat and he put on a pound of barley. That would be no problem, right? That's the second case. The first case has to be where he added barley. The first case has to be he added barley, but it's lighter than wheat. The problem is it's going to take up more. No.
The first case is where he did it by weight. The second case where he did it by volume.
It's lav dafka. We're saying that he put on more barley. He put on more barley than wheat, than he was supposed to. He put on more. Right?
That's if you do it by weight, that would happen. If you 500 pounds of wheat takes up less space than 500 pounds of barley.
Correct. But what he did is, he added on 3 kavs. That's the way Rashi learns it. He has to, in order to be chayiv in the ratio, he had to add on 3 kavs of barley. If he didn't, it's very confusing. This very technical and confusing. That's the way Abaya learns it. But well, let's wait for the Gemara. The bottom line is, in the first case of the Mishnah, he's chayiv. In the second case, he's potter, where he just said a lesech of chitin and he brought a lesech of soy, and that's potter. And then the last case is in Moisef al Masoi, and if he ever adds on to the load, chayiv, he is chayiv. How much could he add on to the load and be chayiv? It's a saw for a camel, and shloisha kavin l'chamor, and 3 kavs for a chamor. That's the amounts that you're allowed to add on before you're going to be chayiv. Okay, so basically, there's 3 cases in the Mishnah. So let's see. So Itmar Abaye Omar Kasha Kim Masui. The Mishnah is supposed to be meant to understood that the barley is difficult on the animal like a weight. And Rav Amar Kasha Lim Masui Tanan. Its Kasha is two carry. Now what does this mean? Abaye Omar Kasha Kim Masui Tanan. Nafcha kitikla. The nafcha is the volume, is the same way, is difficult for the animal, and the same way like weight is. So therefore, if he adds on 3 kavin, this is the first case in the Mishnah, then he's going to be chayiv, because it's a lot more bulky. And there, even though he's putting on barley, which is lighter, it's taking up a lot more room, it's a lot more volume. And Mamela, it's difficult on the animal. So that's the way Abaya learns it. Rava Amar, kosher lim masu tanan. It's kosher for a masu. Tikla ki tikla, because weight is the weight, right? A pound of, what is it? A pound of gold is a pound of feathers. But nafcha havi tesefas, but the bulk is the tesefas. So it comes out that according to Rava, you're allowed to add on. You would be allowed to add on more, and then it would be okay, right? Meaning, as long as the load, you could add on more barley. Doesn't make a difference how much, as long as it doesn't weigh more than whatever weight you made up. Then it's fine. Fine. So that's the way Abaye and Rava understand the Mishnah. So Tanan, Lavi less a chitin. So the Gemara asks 2 kashas on Rava and then 1 kasha on Abaye. So Lavi less a chitin. The Mishnah says that to bring a lesech of chitin, right? And right, he says to bring a lesech of chitin, behavi lesech soirin, and instead he brought a lesech of soirin. Potter is potter. V'im hoisif al masoi. But if he added on to the load, he's chayiv. My lav shloishes kavin. When it says added on, it's meant he add on 3 kavin, to which makes sense according to Abaye. Abaye holds it's chayiv, but Rava holds that it's potter because it's not bulky enough. So Gemara says lo saw, somewhere where he added a saw. So if it's a saw, then he's going to be chayiv. If it's 3 kavin, then it's not. How many was it? 6 kavin a saw? Right, 6 kav to a saw. So it's a lot more than 3 kavin. Okay, but the Gemara asks, but we learned the Kama Yosef on Masoi ve'echayev. What's the maximum you could add on to the load? Sumcha Soimer Mishum Remeir Saw Legamol Shloisha Kama Lechamar. A saw for a gamol, 3 kama chamar. So you see that if he adds more than 3 kavs, he's chayev. So how can Rava say he has to pay up to 6 kavim? One answer: Hachikamer Heichad Deloshani. Where he didn't change anything, chitin behavi chitin. If he brings wheat, if he said he's going to put wheat on it, and he brings wheat. Siren behavi siren. Barley, he brings barley. Kama yosem masay ve'chayev. How much is he allowed to add on? Meaning he's adding on to what he was supposed to. Meaning he was supposed to put on wheat. He put on wheat, but how much did he add? Sum chasamer mishum remeir sol legamo shloisha kavin lechamar. Right. So, So it's 3 kav v'chamor. Fine. So then Toshima, so now he has Kashan Abaya. Lahavi lesser chitin. So if let's say he meant to bring a lesser of wheat, behavi on Tomei now, behavi sheish esrei sa'irim, and he brings 16 sa'irim. So that's 1 saw more, right? 16 sa'irim, meaning of barley. So he's supposed to bring chitin, a lesser, which is 15, and he brought sheish esrei chayiv. So he's chayiv, meaning if the animal, something goes wrong with the animal. And then Rashi says the reason why he's chayiv is because of the volume. Hashloishus kavim potter, but for 3 kavim, he is potter. Right. So what do you see? That up to 3 kavim you can add, and then you be potter. What answers to Rabaya? Oh, so Rabaya says we're not talking about a regular load like a heaping teaspoon. He's talking about where it's a flat, right? There's different types of teaspoons. When you have a teaspoon, for a recipe, you have heaping teaspoons and you have flat teaspoons, right? So we're talking about where it was a level, level teaspoon, right? But it's only 3 kavs, yeah. Meaning you could have one second. You could have. Right, that's the smallest amount. Right? So Mamela, since it's smallest amount, it's only up to 3 kavim, not 6. We thought maybe it was a saw, but really it's not a saw, it's really 3 kavim, it's a half. So therefore it's not a.
How does it all work about a person? A heavier person goes on an animal.
Yeah. We had this problem in yesterday's daf. Right? Your call has been forwarded. Meaning, it said a lady.
With a baby, right?
With a baby, right? So how does that work?
So how would right? And they were talking about a couple of ounces more, or a couple of pounds more. I guess no. Or we're talking about the way the load to carry the load. Certain things are easier to carry than others.
Yes, I don't know. I don't know. Well, here it's more simple. It's wheat and barley, and that's it. But a person, right? But a person is not like that, right? A person can come in all types of ways. So I don't know. I mean, there's such a thing as an oversized charge, isn't there?
I mean, like they tell you, if you're over 250 pounds, you can't go on this, or something like that.
They don't say like, well, on a ride, yes. Yeah.
There are airlines that do it too. If you're over 400 pounds, you have to buy a second seat.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know how that's working exactly over here. Okay, let's see. So now the Gemara goes through different measurements that you're allowed to do. Kav lekasef. A kav is too much for a kasef, literally means a shoulder, meaning a schlepper, right? If you put in, meaning you're supposed to do a 40-pound suitcase, and you get a 50-pound suit, you put in a 50-pounder, right? And now the guy gets injured. So up into a kav, you're potter. Adriv la'areva. Yeah, adriv la'areva, and adriv is for a boat. And I don't know exactly what an adriv is. I mean, it's some sort of measurement. Kur.
Rashi says a lesser.
What? Right, Rashi says a lesser. Yeah. Why it doesn't just say lesser? I don't know. I guess that's the terminology that's used. Kur l'sfina. 1 kur for a sfina, right? And shloish is kurum leburni gedayla. And a 3 kur for a very large ship. Yeah, so that's just some measurements. So Omar Mar, Kav lekosif, Nemisa delay matzi be pardasu l'shadya, meaning it's one thing to do it on an animal. The animal doesn't have das, but we're talking about a human. When the human picks up the load, he should chop that it's too heavy and say, get out of here, right? And this is what we do when we bring the suitcases, right? They weigh the suitcase in the airport and they say, get out of here, right? Or pay more or whatever, right? So what meaning, how can you say the same thing about a injured person? Right, so Amar Abaya, so there's a few terutzim here. Abaya says, talking about
Wait, you want to say that it's his fault and therefore he shouldn't be chayiv?
Yeah, he thought he could hack it. Otherwise, he should have said something. Which one of the terutzim is going to be that he missed? Well, let's see the terutzim. So Amar Abaya shechavtu la'alta. It's somewhere where he picked it up and boom, he collapsed. I mean, you really overloaded him. He didn't even have a chance. He didn't even have a chance to think. Right, Rava says even if he didn't have it right away, he just wanted more money. Exactly what goes on by the airports, right? You're overweight, they say no problem, just pay us an extra $100. Right, Ravashi Amar he thought that the reason why he couldn't lift it is not because it was too heavy. He thought he was having a bad day. He was weak that day. He didn't have koyach. So he didn't realize. So he decided, okay, there must be something wrong with me. And he starts carrying it. And then he realizes that, oh no, this weight is too. And then he gets injured. Right? And then he gets injured. Right? Fine. Then the Gemara says, Kur l'sfina, shloishes kur l'burni gedayla. Amra Papa, so what do you see in the Shmamina Stam Sfinas Bas Tlas and Kurin? A regular ship must have 30 kur. Because if you crunch the numbers, which we won't crunch, but if you crunch the numbers, that's what comes out based on the additions. If you use the same ratio of how much each one is, so then it's a problem. Okay?
Why don't we ever say the same thing? What we just said. Why don't we ever say the same thing by a donkey?
What do you mean?
Maybe it had a bad day. It was weak, or maybe it was too much weight. But we don't really know why the donkey is collapsing. Just like here, we don't really know why.
That's the opposite of what we're saying here.
What?
It's
Saying
not
that
like
the guy
it's not
thought he
Bilam's
was having a
donkey.
weak day.
The person can speak. It's not Bilam's donkey. It's talking to the person.
No, it's still the opposite of that. The reason he's chayav is because the guy thought he was having a weak day. Really, he wasn't, and it was overweight. So it's your fault, not his.
Yeah, meaning I think the whole point here, David, is that here the guy could talk, the donkey can't talk. So Racham is right. Maybe the Gemara should ask. Didn't we have a Gemara once where we asked from Bilam's donkey? Wasn't there a Gemara like that? Right? I thought we had that somewhere. Okay, either way, the Mainaf Gemina. So what's the difference? Why? What the standard load of a ship is? What it says, because of a business, meaning you have to know. If a guy says, I'm buying a Sfina, then that boat is supposed to be able to hold at least 30 kur. If it's not, then you got ripped off. Yeah. Fine. Zok the Mishnah. All workers are considered, like a lot of times you see this in a parak. The end of the previous parak starts discussing what's going to really be discussed in the next parak, right? Well, it's what you didn't know this. I'm sorry, I'm confused. There's another parak in between. Okay, so no, that but it starts getting us involved with the Shaimrim, and really the 8th parak is the good place for this. But anyway, so we say, I mean, you have a guy who's you're giving you something to be repaired. What kind of Shaimer is that guy? What kind of shomer is he? So the Gemara says he's a shomer sach. I mean, it's as if he's getting paid. Right? Why? Because he's lamaisa, making money off of watching this thing. But we'll see in the Gemara. And in all the cases where we say, the guy says to him, meaning the worker calls you up and says, your shoes are ready. Come get them. Right, so bring money, then Shemechinam. Now he comes to Shemechinam because he's not getting paid to watch your shoes. He calls you up and says, your shoes are ready, come get it. Right? Now you don't get it for a while, then something happens to you. He says, I'm a Shemechinam. Right? Because I'm not getting paid to hold it unless if you make the deal that you're gonna pay some places have that, right? Some cleaners have a storage fee if you don't come pick it up at some particular point. Okay, so then you share mechina. Shmar li v'eshmar lach. If a guy goes to this guy and says, you watch something for me, and then I'll watch something for you. Shomer sacher, that's a shomer sacher because the guy's getting getting something out of the shmira. Shmarli, if the guy goes to another guy and says, watch something, and he says, put it down in front of me. Shamer is a shamer because he didn't say anything about money. He just said, put it down and I'll watch it. Let's say somebody lends money and then the borrower gives a mashkin, right? He gives a collateral. So now what kind of shomer is he on that? Let's say something goes wrong with that. Something happens. So he's a shomer sacher. Right? We'll see in the Gemara why that is. Rabbi Yehuda halveo mais shomer chinam. If he borrowed money and the guy gave a mashkin, so then he's a shomer chinam. Halveo peiros, but he gave him fruit, right? Meaning if he lent him fruit, then he's a shomer sacher. Why? Because if he just kept the fruit himself, the fruit's going to go bad. But now he lent the fruit to somebody else. When the guy pays him back, he's going to pay him back fresh fruit. So he's getting a fresh fruit. So then the shomer is getting something out of it. Right? A person is actually allowed to rent out the collateral he gets from an ani, in order that he can and that he should be able to use it. Right? It's like a meshav aveda. Meaning what's going on here is that he realizes that the person he lent money to is poor. Right? So since he's poor, he's not going to be able to pay him back. So he gave him his mashkin of his watch. He said, you know what, I have a way I'm going to be able to help this guy pay me back. I'm going to rent out the watch.
So he lent him money knowing that he's not going to get it back?
I guess he realized the situation, or he was chayshiv for the situation. Right? He was chayshiv for the situation that the guy is not going to pay him. Therefore, he said, you know what, I'll rent out the watch and I'll pay down his debt. Right? He'll pay down his debt that way. So he's allowed to do that.
And if it breaks, who's chayiv?
If it breaks, who's chayiv? I have no idea. That would probably get into the whole shomer shemasel shomer. I'm not holding by the end of the Gemara yet, but meaning I don't know what the Gemara is going to discuss here. But
presumably, if he's allowed to use it and rent it out.
What right do I have to give away to give it to another person? This mashkin is only between me and you, not anybody else.
The
Gemara will talk about it?
I don't know if the Gemara. I didn't get there yet. I didn't get there. I'm not ahead enough.
Yes.
Isn't it all in the same Indian of schar mitzvah?
You want to give the guy tzedakah, and so give him tzedakah. Don't start renting out the other guy's mashkin. You know what I mean?
It's a bigger mitzvah. The guy's going to pay him back because of this.
Yeah, but who said that I want it? Who says I want this mashkin rented out? Maybe I only gave the mashkin to you. I gave you this mashkin only because I had no choice. I needed the money. I don't want this mashkin going around to the whole neighborhood.
You want to pay the loan back. That's a mitzvah.
Okay, so I'll pay it back. What's the problem?
Can't pay it back.
I'll pay it back. It might take me longer. I'll pay it back.
I don't know. It's a meshav aveda. The guy, I don't know, but I hear what David's saying. Like, who says the guy's not going to pay it back? Right? I don't know. For some reason, this guy must think that it's
I mean, we're calling him an ani, so the Gemara, they seem to think that he does not have money.
They gave him a 30-day loan, and the guy's had a mashkin for 2.5 years already. At some point, you say the guy can't pay it back.
Who says 2.5 years? Maybe it's a week.
I'm giving you a case. You wanted a case. This is a case. At this point, I know he's not paying it back. But he wants to pay it back. He wants to do a mitzvah, paying a loan back. So I'll help him out, and I'll rent it out for him.
To talk it over with him.
Yeah, we'll have to wait for the Gemara, because the Gemara is going to discuss. The Gemara is going to discuss how does it work with what type of mashkin are we talking about. So let's hold up on the Gemara.
It's the Maril, and one of his Einiklach took the mashkin off the table instead of the Afikoim, he took the mashkin and they can't find it in place. That's the case, no.
Okay, that I don't know if you ask your son-in-law if he's masking to that. That's the case, but okay. Anyways, okay. So let's see. So Lema must listen to where like a Rameir. Let's say that our mission is not like Rameir. The Tanya Seicher Ketzad Mishalim. How does a Seicher pay? Meaning there's 4 shomer, right? The shomer chinam, shomer sacher, shoyel, and then there's a Seicher, a renter. So there's a machlokes is whether a renter is like a shomer chinam, meaning a guy that rents things. What's the status of the item that he's renting? Is he a shomer chinam or is he a shomer sacher? That's a machlokes. Rameir holds he's a shomer chinam, and Rabbi Yehuda holds he's a shomer sacher. Right now, l'chayra, a guy who's fixing things, l'chayra has the same status as somebody who's renting. Right. So if the Mishnah is saying that it's a shomer sacher, then it sounds like it goes like according to Rabbi Yehuda. Now we know the rule that Stam Mishnah is Rameir. And Rameir is the one that will say he's a shomer chinam. So our Mishnah seems to be going like Rabbi Yehuda, even though it goes against the rule of Stam Mishnah, is like Rameir. So that's what the Gemara is going to be bothered with. When it says Afilu Teva Rameir, you could even say this Mishnah is going according to Rameir. By he hanad the kashavik kulei am v'agulei lididei havi love shomer sacher, because there is a, even though normally he'd be considered a renter, is considered a shomer chinam, but here a what do you call this guy? What are we calling this guy? A worker, not a I don't know. I can only think of a shalom, like a shoemaker and a dry cleaner.
The omen?
An omen, yeah. But what's the English word for this guy?
Craftsman.
I guess a craftsman. Okay, that's a good one. A craftsman, repairman, a craftsman. Yeah, very good. So the craftsman, he's getting something. What's he getting? Gaiva. I think that's why I understand it. Like, oh, look at it, he's using me. So because of that chashivas, it's as if he's getting paid. Right? I don't know if it means that or that he has a job. Meaning he looks out at the street and he sees, well, Yenim doesn't even have any shoes to repair. I have shoe to repair, so at least I'm making epis. Right? I gonna say I have a foot up on him, but no pun intended. I'm saying, but right, but meaning this, that I don't know if it was a Gaiva thing. Initially, I thought it's a Gaiva thing, right? Like, oh, I'm, this guy's using me. I must be the greatest shoemaker in the world. But I don't know if that's that or that at least he has an epis. Fine. A guy who rents, he could say, what do you mean? I'm very happy that the guy rented it to me. He could have rented this animal or rented anything out to anybody in the world, and he rented it to me. Havi love, shomer sacher. So Mameli should also be a shomer sacher. So that shot doesn't work. This that he gives him a little bit more, havi love shomer sacher. Meaning, okay, I don't know how this works in business, but it seems like there's always an overcharge. When you have a craftsman who, let's say he's saying you got to pay $10 to put taps on shoes. So really, when you're giving him $10, it doesn't mean that I'm not sure how to explain it. Meaning, really, the guy could have gotten paid $9.50. The extra 50 cents that he's getting is like an extra payment. So therefore, he's a shomer sacher. And it sounds like
he's adding that on to be a shomer.
No,
that's extra profit.
No, I don't think he's adding it on. I think included in the price is like, oh, there's extra money. That's what it sounds like to me, right?
Maybe it means that it's to cover overhead.
No, it makes sense that it's the profit. The portion of it that's the profit.
No, part of it's profit and part of it's to cover overhead.
Yeah, but the profit part makes sense with this hashbon. What's the profit for? Why am I paying him more than the cost?
No, the profit because I want to put money in my pocket. What do you mean?
No, but from the other side, why would I pay someone profit? In other words, if cost is, I could do it for the cost. I could make it myself for the cost. But I'm
Who says I can make
to
it?
do it. Hold on. I'm giving it to him for more than cost. Why am I doing that? What's going on in my head? Because he's going to watch it for me, not from the other side, because he's going to make sure that I get back a good product.
Yeah, but I don't know. It has to be something that's extra more than he really deserved. If it's part of his fee, it doesn't work. If it's part of his fee, then it doesn't work. It has to be like I don't know, because otherwise,
excuse me, let's say when you buy a car, so you buy a car for $30,000, $40,000, right?
That's
but
a 40 story.
What?
That's a different story. That's a purchase. Here we're talking about a craft, meaning he's doing a repair.
Okay, I'm repairing your lights in the house, and I charge you $175. So $175 is also to pay for the worker, to pay for overhead, gas. It's not only the profit that I put in my pocket.
Now, that case is also a little bit different. It's a kind of trade in which I give my chayfetz to him. That's why he becomes a shimer. If he comes to my house and does the job, he doesn't become a shimer.
Give me an example.
Shoes, taps on shoes.
The cleaners.
I want taps put on my shoes.
Right.
Or the cleaners. Or anything where you give your chayfetz to him to do work on. Then he becomes a shimer on those.
You give your candelabra to get fixed.
Right, whatever it is.
That's expensive.
As long as you're giving it to him.
No, that's a real expensive item. That's why I'm saying,
Doesn't matter if it's expensive or not. Either way, he's a shimer. Whatever you give to him, he's a shimer. Question is, what kind of shimer? So the Mishnah says he's a shimer sacher. Problem is, Rameya holds that a sacher is a shimer chinam. So why is he any different than a sacher? That's the kasha in the Gemara.
Right.
If I give my suit to cleaners and they lose it, from guy, they don't have to pay me back?
So it depends if he's a Shemer Chinam or a Shemer Sacher.
I'm asking you, what is he?
He's a Shemer Chinam, he's Pater. He's a Shemer Sacher, he's Chayav.
He's getting paid for it. What do you mean?
No, but that doesn't. What makes him a Shemer Sacher? Is he being paid to watch it, or is he being paid for the job? If he's being paid for the job, then he's a Shemer Chinam. He's going to be Pater. This svara is that the reason I pay him more than the cost is to make him a Shemer Sacher. I want to make him responsible, so I'm willing to give him a little bit more than it costs him to do it. The question is it more than cost, or Tzviakov is saying it's more than, why would I go to a more expensive cleaners, for example?
It has to be something. I mean, Rashi just says basically that it's EF Shalatamtim. You can't pin it down. You can't pin it down. Meaning,
how do you ever know? I don't understand how you ever know.
I'll tell you like this. I just had to book flights to Toronto. Got myself ripped off because of Memorial Day weekend. So they give you a breakdown of all the charges. I mean, it's this facility charge and a security charge and a hin and a hair. And they try basically to justify charging so much money. So they break it down to around 6 or 7 different charges, right? So the same thing here. It's meaning when you're giving your shoes in, what's the breakdown to what they're charging you for? Is it for the taps? Is it for the?
It's for overhead and to make profit.
Whatever. So part of it is also the shmira of the shoe. He's going to.
I can't care less if I
don't make a difference. Like Rashi says, it's EF Shalatan to schar kablonos l'schar demei peula shelo yital yosef. Meaning some of it is for the work, some of it is for accepting the job. Meaning it's impossible to pin down what's what. So Mamela, there's always
you usually give your cleaners to one of the Russian guys. You don't care what he does. You want to help him with parnasa or a shoemaker. No, the guys who do the shoe, right? They're shoemakers. They're all shoemakers. They fix the shoes. Your wife bought a $3,000 pair of whatever shoe the famous shoe is. You're not giving it to him. You're giving it to the other guy who watches and does a better job, and he also watches the shoes better. That's all. That's the case.
You couldn't kill us if he watches it. You want to fix.
It doesn't make a difference what you care.
Shoes cost you $3,000.
Yeah.
if anybody had a television, they would have seen the Seinfeld episode about the cleaners. They would know what I'm talking about.
I didn't see it, but
Okay, so
yeah. But maybe I did see it, but I
you
forget that
might
too.
have seen it's been on enough for 25 years.
That's Baruch
On
Hashem.
enough station.
You bechazik me because I can forget that stuff too. Anyways, but that's what it seems to be. There's that little extras you're getting. Okay, so the Gemara says Saichanami, a renter also. It's possible that it could be that the guy's paying a little bit less. Right? He doesn't know exactly. So the Gemara says, we could you can say the Mishnah is Rameir, but he had not the toughest lay agre with the hana that the worker, what do you call it? What do you call him? The craftsman? The craftsman that he's holding on to the shoes, let's say, until the guy gives him money, right? He told him, bring me money, pick it up and bring me money. The loy boy so he doesn't have to go, meaning he's holding it basically as collateral. He's saying, when you come pay me the money, then you'll get back your shoes. So I mean, that means that the repairman, what do you call him? Sorry, I keep forgetting. The craftsman is he's gaining something from holding on to these shoes because he has a collateral that he won't have to go after. He won't have to go chase him down because the guy's never getting his shoes unless he brings money. So that's a hana. So havi alei shomer sacher. So mela, that's a shomer sacher. Iba is saying, or another pshat. Kidamachlef Rabbi Baruch Batani. Rabbi Baruch switches the shitas. Seicher Ketzed Mishalim. How does a Seicher pay? Remeir Mikashem Besacher, Rav Yehuda Mikashem Mechinam. So if you switch it around, then everything is hunky dory because Remeir is the one that says that a renter is like a Shomer Sacher. So since he says a renter is like a Shomer Sacher, this Stam Mishnah fits according to Remeir. Right. So that's a more simple. That's a more simple thing. All right, we'll stop over there. Let's say.
Yeah, actually, Yaakov, as I said that to you, you don't have to. If you had a radio, Imus used to have the special cleaners that he used, and he used to speak about them. They charged him so much money for a shirt; it was insane. This is 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever. But he used to talk about the cleaners that how special they were. And somebody proved them they weren't special. It was a shtick on the radio, but they charge him a fortune to clean his cowboy shirts. Yeah. Now I'm remembering it as it hit me. So yeah.
Okay, so let's say okay, good. So let's say a tilim, yeah. For the Basurat Tivus and for the Matzah Eretz Yisrael. Yeah. Pegim. Yeah, Shimmer's Malasaf. Alima Domelach Hatecha Shatishka